Every morning, as the sun peeked over the horizon, Mark excitedly tied his boots, ready to embrace another day at the wildlife park. Mark was a dedicated park worker who spent his days caring for the animals and ensuring that visitors enjoyed their time surrounded by nature. His love for wildlife began when he was a child, watching documentaries about lions and elephants. Those majestic creatures fascinated him, filling his dreams with images of vast savannas and herds roaming freely. If you enjoyed this video, please like the video and subscribe for more, and tell me where you are watching from today. I always find it awesome to see where all my viewers are watching from. Let's get back to the video. At the park, Mark's routine was filled with joy. He started by checking on the animals in their enclosures. He loved to watch the playful monkeys swing from branch to branch and greeted the sleepy lions with a warm smile. Each animal had its own personality, and Mark took pride in knowing them all by name. One of his favorite moments came when he fed the elephants. These gentle giants stood tall, their large ears flapping softly in the warm breeze as they reached for fresh hay and fruits with their long trunks. Mark admired how they carefully picked out the tastiest treats, almost as if they were choosing dessert. He would often talk to them as he worked, sharing stories about his day or simply laughing at their silly antics. After feeding time, Mark would patrol the park, ensuring everything was in order for visitors. He loved hearing children giggle in excitement when they saw a baby elephant wobbling on its feet or a group of zebras trotting together. The park buzzed with life, and Mark felt fortunate to be a part of it. On this particular day, after completing his morning tasks, Mark decided to take a short break near a small pond that sparkled under the sunlight. The water reflected fluffy clouds drifting lazily above. He plopped down on a nearby rock and took a moment to soak in the peaceful surroundings. The sounds of birds chirping and leaves rustling created a soothing melody that made him smile. Suddenly, out of nowhere, he heard low rumbling sounds that seemed to grow louder. Curiosity piqued. He stood up and looked around for the source of the noise. As he turned toward the sound, his heart skipped a beat when he saw a massive herd of elephants approaching from the other side of the pond. Mark had seen these elephants many times before, but had never witnessed them moving this way in such numbers. His heart raced as he watched them walk gracefully yet purposefully toward him. A mix of excitement and concern fluttered in his stomach. What could they want? It was unusual for so many elephants to head toward one spot at once. As they got closer, Mark noticed their massive shadows surrounding him like an umbrella of gray skin and flapping ears. They were friendly creatures who usually greeted him with gentle nudges, but today felt different. Something was going on among them. Mark's instincts told him to remain calm as he stood still, trying to read their expressions and movements. The elephants were not charging. Instead, they formed an unintended barrier between him and his path back to work. He felt a rush of adrenaline mixed with confusion as he pondered why they were blocking his way. In that moment of uncertainty, something deep within him urged him to pay attention and understand what these remarkable animals were trying to communicate. Had they come for help? His love for wildlife ignited curiosity within him as he prepared himself for whatever might happen next. As Mark stood by the pond, he took a moment to appreciate the beauty of the wildlife park that surrounded him. The air was filled with the sweet scent of wildflowers dancing in the gentle breeze, and colorful blooms painted bright patches across the lush green landscape. Towering trees provided shade, their leaves rustling softly as if whispering secrets to one another. It was a paradise for both animals and visitors alike. The park sprawled out for miles, with winding paths that led to various exhibits. Families strolled happily along these paths, laughing and pointing at animals playing in their habitats. Mark loved the cheerful sounds of voices echoing through the trees, each delighted shriek and giggle a reminder of why he worked so hard to keep everything in order. Children often ran ahead, eager to catch a glimpse of the next animal exhibit. The elephants were always a favorite among visitors. Their presence brought joy and wonder, especially when they trumpeted loudly, claiming their space among the enclosures. Today was no different, as a group of young children had just arrived near their exhibit, faces filled with awe as they watched the elephants splash in a shallow pool of water. The little ones giggled as droplets flew around like jewels in the sunlight. Mark felt a surge of pride, knowing he was part of the team that cared for these magnificent creatures. He often marveled at their size and grace. The elephants were not just large animals. They were family-oriented beings, strong yet gentle, who communicated through soft rumbles and playful gestures. He had learned so much about them over the years and appreciated their intelligence and social bonds. Just beyond his small resting spot was a lovely stretch of grass where, not too far away, a family of elephants calmly grazed. A large matriarch stood watch over her younger counterparts. Her ears flapped lazily as she pulled fresh shoots with her trunk, acting as a steady guardian and teacher for the little ones who curiously explored around her feet. Knowing that these gentle giants roamed nearby filled Mark's heart with comfort. With each passing minute, though, something felt different in the atmosphere. The peaceful ambiance shifted slightly as he noticed distinct movements from the grazing elephants. They communicated with one another through subtle nods and gestures that Mark had come to recognize over time. Whenever he observed them like this, he felt a growing sense of connection to nature, to their community, and to his work. Suddenly, Mark's attention was drawn back to the pond, where ripples spread across the surface, reflecting patches of blue sky above. His thoughts wandered through memories of previous encounters he experienced here. Unexpected visits from curious animals or delighted children who learned something new on their adventures. But today did not feel ordinary at all. As he gazed intently into the distance, still lost in his thoughts, he sensed movement gaining strength among the trees. A thundering sound almost like distant drums calling to him. The rumbling grew louder until its source emerged, a massive herd of elephants trotting gracefully through the grasslands toward him. Each gigantic figure moved together harmoniously, creating an impressive sight that left him breathless. He could see baby elephants swaying beside their mothers, gently nudging close for support and protection. Mark found himself fascinated and slightly apprehensive as they approached the pond area. What was happening? Why were they all coming this way? Curiosity bubbled within him amidst his growing unease. There was something special about this gathering, something urgent that seemed to call out loud enough for anyone willing to listen. As the herd of elephants moved closer, Mark's heart raced with a mix of awe and trepidation. The sight of these gentle giants was nothing short of breathtaking. Each elephant towered over him, their massive bodies swaying gracefully as they tread the grass. Their skin, a unique shade of gray, bore wrinkles that told stories of years spent roaming the vast plains. Mark knew these elephants well, but seeing them this close, surrounded by their family members, was an experience like no other. The elephant's presence was powerful, yet peaceful. As they approached, the matriarch, a grand older female with large, wise eyes, led the way. Her trunk swung softly at her side, and her ears flapped gently in the warm breeze. Mark admired how she moved with grace despite her size. She seemed to carry the weight of her role as leader effortlessly. There was an undeniable strength in her demeanor that filled him with respect. Surrounding the matriarch were several younger elephants, each one bursting with energy and curiosity. Some of them playfully nudged each other, their trunks intertwining in a show of affection. Mark couldn't help but smile as he watched a calf, hardly taller than his knees, stumble slightly in the grass, but quickly regain its footing. The young ones often mirrored their elders, imitating their movements and sounds as they learned how to navigate through life in the herd. As the herd encircled Mark, he felt a sense of being enveloped in a warm embrace. The elephants displayed no signs of aggression. Instead, they seemed to radiate a calming aura. Their deep rumbles echoed softly among the trees, creating a serene melody that eased Mark's initial concern. He stood still, soaking up the moment and marveling at how such large creatures could evoke such gentleness and warmth. Mark watched as one particularly curious elephant, a young female, took a few steps closer, her trunk extended inquisitively toward him. She sniffed the air around him, her large ears flapping rhythmically. In that moment, he felt a connection that transcended words, a silent understanding between them that spoke of trust and curiosity. It was as if she were trying to communicate something important, inviting him into their world. The herd's peaceful demeanor reminded Mark of the importance of community and connection in nature. These elephants shared everything: food, shelter, and love. They cared for one another deeply, demonstrating loyalty and protection that extended beyond individual needs. This bond became even more evident as he observed the younger elephants staying close to their mothers while the matriarch kept watch over them all. Still captivated, Mark began to realize something. This gathering was not just random. The elephants had a purpose for surrounding him. He sensed that they wanted something, a message perhaps, that was rooted in their natural instincts as social beings. Each gentle rumble felt like a heartbeat echoing across the grassy plains. As he continued to observe the herd closely, he could see their large eyes sparkling with intelligence and emotion. These elephants were not just animals. They were individuals with their own personalities and stories to tell. Mark resolved to stay calm and open-minded as he awaited their next move, determined to understand what they needed from him today. In this moment, surrounded by giants who embodied both strength and gentleness, Mark felt inspired to listen carefully. He knew that nature often spoke in whispers rather than shouts, and that sometimes the most profound messages came from those who appeared strongest yet were also profoundly vulnerable. As the elephants drew ever closer, the atmosphere shifted, wrapping around Mark like a heavy blanket. What had been a peaceful moment by the pond transformed into something charged with tension and uncertainty. With each step, the herd seemed to loom larger in his view, their massive bodies creating an imposing barrier that left him feeling both enchanted and trapped. The ground trembled gently beneath his feet, echoing the sounds of their soft footfalls. Mark's heart raced as he watched them move in synchronized harmony. The matriarch led the way with her head held high, while the younger elephants flanked her, forming a living wall around him. He could barely take a breath as their presence enveloped him, blocking his path back toward the winding trail that led to safety. Mark stood frozen in place, caught between fascination and fear. He knew these elephants were not aggressive by nature. Yet there was something undeniably overwhelming about being surrounded by such colossal creatures. Their large ears twitched occasionally as they communicated with one another through gentle rumbles and soft trumpets. To an outsider, this would appear as a mere gathering of elephants, but for Mark, it felt like an unspoken dialogue, a conversation he desperately wished to understand. His mind raced with questions. Why had they come here? What did they want? The young female who had been curious before now stepped even closer, her eyes wide and curious. She nudged against him gently with her trunk, as if trying to coax him forward. But Mark felt rooted to the spot, unsure of how to react in this unexpected situation. Around him, the other elephants shuffled slightly, giving each other space while maintaining their protective circle. A sense of urgency filled the air, making it hard for Mark to focus on anything else but the presence of these magnificent animals. It was a moment of raw power combined with deep vulnerability. Their willingness to be near him felt both comforting and terrifying. Suddenly, one of the younger bulls raised his trunk high, letting out a loud trumpet that echoed across the park. Startled, Mark instinctively took a step back, but quickly realized it was not aimed at him. It was an announcement to the rest of the herd. The sound carried with it an affirmation of their unity and strength. Despite any initial fear he felt, Mark recognized there was no malice in their actions. Slowly breathing out and calming his racing heart, he began to observe their calm expressions and slow movements more closely. He could see the intelligence in their eyes. The way they communicated with subtle gestures and postures underlined an essential connection among them. Mark found himself inhaling deeply as he allowed curiosity to replace anxiety. He felt fortunate to be part of this moment in time where nature's powerful creatures expressed themselves freely. Yet he couldn't shake off that sense of urgency. They had gathered for more than just curiosity. They were trying to convey something crucial. With every fiber of his being focused on what was happening around him, Mark understood that this encounter was special. It wasn't just about their size or beauty. It was about something deeper, a call for help or support, perhaps that resonated within their very presence. Determined not to dismiss these feelings or retreat into fear, he stood tall among them, mentally preparing himself for whatever message might come through as he awaited their next move. In that moment of suspense, with elephants towering around him, he learned that sometimes being still and listening could lead to understanding even in the most surprising circumstances. As the herd of elephants continued to surround Mark, a whirlwind of emotions churned within him. His fascination with the elephants battled against a nagging feeling of confusion and concern for his safety. The tranquil beauty of the wildlife park seemed to fade away, replaced by a rising tide of uncertainty. Though he had spent years working with these magnificent creatures, seeing them gather so closely felt unprecedented and slightly overwhelming. Mark's heart pounded in his chest, working against the calm he desperately tried to maintain. With their massive bodies forming an impenetrable barrier, he wondered if they felt threatened or if something had spurred them to cluster around him. Were they trying to protect their young? Was there something in danger that he couldn't see? Each thought swirled in his mind, raising questions about this unexpected situation. He shifted his weight awkwardly, but remained still, not wanting to provoke any anxiety in the elephants. The matriarch stood closest to him, and her calm demeanor gave him slight comfort. However, it did little to quell the instinctual apprehension peering from deep within his gut. Mark longed to understand what they wanted without drawing attention to himself or causing alarm among the herd. Every soft rumble that escaped the elephants seemed amplified in that moment of silence. Mark wished he could communicate with them as easily as they spoke with one another through unspoken gestures. But he was just a human, an outsider looking in on this captivating world. As he watched the younger elephants playfully nudge each other, their innocent energy was both endearing and disarming. Yet it came with an edge of inherent wildness that reminded him just how powerful they were. What would happen if one of them felt cornered or scared? What if they misinterpreted his stillness as a threat? He shook off those darker thoughts, reminding himself they were not known for aggression unless provoked. This made watching their interactions all the more incredible. They were living embodiments of strength paired with gentleness. Yet doubt lingered. Perhaps this was just a surprising twist of fate rather than an act of solidarity. Mark's mind raced between feelings of admiration for these stunning creatures and concerns for what he should do next. Should he try to move towards the edge of the herd or remain completely still? Every second felt like eternity as he weighed his options. The youngest elephant nudged closer again, trying earnestly to catch Mark's attention with her soft eyes fixed curiously on his face. Their gaze locked for just a moment, and something shifted. He could swear she was trying to reassure him, sharing some silent message about harmony and understanding amidst the chaos of their gathering. Despite feeling increasingly overwhelmed, a small spark ignited within him, replacing some of the fear with determination. If these elephants called upon him for something important, he needed to embrace this experience rather than retreat into trepidation. Taking a slow breath, Mark decided to lean into vulnerability instead of pulling back from it. This moment shared with such incredible beings was offering him more than mere fear. The potential for understanding and connection loomed just beyond line barriers built by confusion and concern. It was bizarre, yet enlightening. Even surrounded by towering giants capable of great force, there was so much opportunity for growth if only he chose to listen closely enough to decipher what lay behind their intentions. Clarity began weaving its way through layers of his initial thoughts as he prepared himself mentally for whatever revelation awaited him amid this unfolding encounter. As Mark stood surrounded by the herd of elephants, he began to focus more intently on their body language and behavior. His initial feelings of confusion and concern started to give way to curiosity as he observed the elephants interact with one another, searching for clues about their intentions. Each movement seemed deliberate, and he felt compelled to understand the subtle messages they communicated without words. The matriarch, standing tall at the front, displayed an aura of calm authority. Her ears flapped gently and her trunk swayed slightly as she scanned the area, ensuring her family was safe. Mark noticed how the younger elephants often looked to her for guidance, mirroring her movements and responding to her cues. This bond between them was evident. They leaned against one another, forming a protective barrier that radiated both strength and unity. As Mark watched, a young calf ventured closer, its small trunk outstretched as it explored its surroundings with a childlike curiosity. The calf nudged at Mark's feet playfully, which brought a warmth to his heart amidst the tension. It was clear that this young elephant was comfortable in its environment, feeling safe among the adults who surrounded it. This display of innocence made Mark smile despite his earlier apprehension. He also noticed the way the elephants communicated through gentle rumbles and soft trumpets. Each sound seemed rich with meaning, conveying reassurance, excitement, or perhaps even a call to gather together. The rhythmic sounds echoed around him like a natural orchestra, drawing him deeper into their world. Mark realized that every rumble carried a sense of connection. These creatures were not just moving through space. They were engaged in meaningful interactions. The younger elephants tumbled around each other, playfully nudging and sparring in the grass. Their playful antics contrasted sharply with the tranquil poise of the matriarch and gave Mark a sense of relief. Watching them reminded him that while these animals were powerful, they were also capable of joy and affection. Their playful spirit helped dissolve some of his lingering fears. Mark took a moment to breathe deeply and absorb the scene before him. The elephant's body language told him that they felt secure in this moment. They were not on high alert, but rather relaxed and engaged with their surroundings. Their trunks waved gracefully in the air, As they explored, occasionally brushing against each other in gestures that spoke volumes about their familial bonds. As he observed them more closely, Mark began to see that their behavior mirrored many qualities he valued in life: cooperation, protection, and love for one another. It struck him how important family was among these creatures. Each member played a role in keeping the herd safe and connected. They relied on one another for support just as humans do. Yet amid all this beauty, Mark couldn't shake off the sense of urgency he had felt earlier. He wondered what prompted this gathering around him. Was it simply curiosity about the human among them, or was there something deeper at play? Perhaps they sensed something he could not: a change in their environment or a need for assistance. Determined to stay present in this moment, he focused on their movements once more, shifting his perspective from fear to understanding. By tuning into their body language and recognizing the gracefulness of their interactions, Mark felt himself becoming more attuned to their world. This profound connection sparked hope within him. If he could listen closely enough, perhaps he would uncover what the elephants needed from him, after all. With every passing second, his initial confusion transformed into a blend of admiration and respect for these extraordinary animals who had surrounded him so protectively. In this unexpected encounter, Mark learned that sometimes observing closely could lead to insights far beyond what words could convey. Insights rooted in instinct and connection that transcended species boundaries. As Mark stood amidst the herd of elephants, his anxiety began to fade further as he observed their gentle behavior more closely. He noticed that there was no hostility or aggression in their actions. Rather, they seemed curious and confident in their surroundings. The matriarch continued to exude a calm authority, her movements deliberate and serene, signaling to the younger elephants that all was well. This realization washed over Mark like a wave of relief. These magnificent creatures were not there to intimidate him, but to communicate something vital. With each passing moment, Mark understood that the elephants were using their natural instincts and social cues to express themselves. Their large ears flopped gently, and soft rumbles filled the air as they interacted with one another. These sounds were far from threatening. Instead, they conveyed a sense of unity and purpose within the herd. It was clear now that Mark was not an intruder, but rather a part of this unfolding story. The young calf, who had nudged Mark earlier, now playfully circled around him, exhibiting a charm that melted away any remaining tension in his heart. Watching this little one frolic reminded him of the innocence that existed within nature. An innocence that thrived even among such powerful beings. The calf's playful antics spoke volumes about the environment's safety and wonder. If it felt secure enough to explore so freely, perhaps he could find comfort too. Mark's initial fears transformed into curiosity as he tuned into their subtle interactions. He watched how the younger elephants constantly sought reassurance from the matriarch, nudging her with their trunks for comfort and guidance when they felt uncertain. Each gentle nudge seemed to say, "We're together in this." This display of affection caught Mark by surprise. The connection between them was strong and unmistakable. The more he observed, the more he realized these elephants were not simply gathering around him for whimsical reasons. They had intentions rooted in their social structure and familial bonds. His heart swelled with admiration for how deeply they cared for one another, a true testament to their intelligence and emotional depth. Mark couldn't help but reflect on how similar this dynamic was to human relationships. Families often come together in times of need or when seeking support from one another. This herd exhibited those same traits naturally. If anything, their gathering felt like a reminder for him to be present and attentive in life. Understanding this shifted everything within him. He needed to listen carefully, not just to what they might be conveying through actions, but also to the feelings stirring inside himself. Mark took a moment to breathe deeply again, focusing on the harmony surrounding him. Suddenly, Mark felt a slight nudge against his leg from one of the younger elephants once more. This time it wasn't just playful curiosity. It felt like an invitation to engage authentically with them. Refusing to let fear guide his responses any longer, Mark knelt down slowly so he could be closer to eye level with the calf. In that instant of connection, when their eyes met, he felt something transform within him. It became clear. These elephants wanted his attention because they had something meaningful to share. They were calling on him not just as a caretaker, but as someone who could help bridge understanding between humans and wildlife. As he prepared himself mentally for whatever message lay ahead, Mark realized these moments would go beyond mere observation. This experience could blossom into something profound if he approached it with an open heart and mind. What had begun as an encounter filled with uncertainty now sparkled with potential. A chance for cooperation based on respect, born from understanding these remarkable creatures who surrounded him so protectively. As Mark knelt down to meet the young calf's gaze, the atmosphere shifted again. One of the larger elephants from the herd, a strong, young bull, stepped forward, breaking slightly away from the protective circle. This elephant was more than just big. He moved with purpose and confidence, and as he approached Mark, a sense of gravity filled the air. Mark felt an instinctual pull in his chest, as if this moment was essential. The young bull paused just a few feet away, his ears flapping gently as he regarded Mark with large, intelligent eyes. In that silent exchange, Mark felt a connection that transcended words. The elephant lifted his trunk high into the air, swaying it back and forth in a way that seemed both inviting and important. It was clear he was trying to communicate something significant, something beyond casual curiosity. Mark held his breath, captivated by this instant. He sensed that the forest itself had quieted around them. The world outside their circle faded into the background as all attention focused on this critical moment. The young bull stepped closer once more, lowering his trunk as it reached out toward Mark. It was a gesture filled with reassurance and urgency all at once. In that simple motion, Mark understood. This elephant needed something from him, a response or an action that could help bridge their communication gap. Perhaps they wanted him to follow them or assist in some way. He felt a rush of determination surge through him. He couldn't turn away now. Taking a deep breath to ground himself, Mark felt an overwhelming desire to connect back with this creature who had bravely taken the step forward. It was an invitation to engage more deeply, not just with the elephant, but also with the entire herd surrounding him. He thought of everything he had learned over his years working in the park. Elephants were nurturers and guides within their family units, guiding each other through challenges with care and wisdom. With a gentle movement of his own, Mark reached out his hand slightly, palm up, a universal sign of peace and openness. As he made this gesture, he looked into the eyes of the young bull, willing for them to understand that he was there to help however he could. For a fleeting moment, time seemed to stand still as they shared an understanding born out of mutual respect and silent conversation. The young bull tilted his head slightly in acknowledgement, then rumbled softly, a low sound vibrating through the ground underfoot. His calm demeanor soothed any lingering anxieties within Mark even further, reinforcing that there was no threat here, only a genuine need for communication. Still kneeling, Mark lifted his other hand in front of him and began to rise slowly so as not to startle anyone. He could feel the energy from the herd's collective gaze upon him as their focus turned entirely towards their bold companion's actions. With every step closer, he took toward the young bull. Another layer of apprehension fell away. Then it struck him. The elephants were calling on him for assistance, with something more than just basic tension. They were likely seeking help regarding their environment, or perhaps a mate needing care off in another part of the park where visitors couldn't tread. Their united front expressed urgency, coupled with an innate need. Determined and inspired by this unexpected role bestowed upon him by these magnificent creatures, Mark prepared himself for what lay ahead. An opportunity not only to respond to whatever challenge presented itself, but also to learn from them in ways he had never expected. It was time to step beyond observation into action. And perhaps this gathering would reveal its true purpose, now that clarity began to dawn on what they desired most from him after all. With newfound hope blooming within him, Mark took one final glance at the magnificent herd before moving decisively alongside the young bull, who had brought him into this pivotal moment of revelation and connection. As Mark stood ready to engage with the young bull who had stepped forward, a sudden commotion among the elephants drew his attention. The matriarch raised her trunk into the air, releasing a series of urgent rumbles that resonated through the air like an alarm. Mark's eyes widened as he saw the herd shift their positions, moving with purpose away from him and deeper into the tall grass nearby. Instinctively, he followed their movements, curiosity guiding his steps. Then, he spotted it. Nestled in the tall blades, a small baby elephant struggled to rise. The calf appeared disoriented and weak, its attempts to stand thwarted by the uneven ground beneath it. Mark felt his heart drop at the sight. It was clear that the herd hadn't encircled him to signal for help for themselves, but rather to protect this vulnerable young one. Suddenly, everything clicked into place. The protective behavior shown by the larger elephants took on new meaning. They were not only ensuring Mark's presence didn't endanger their family, but also creating a safe barrier around the struggling calf. Mark could sense their anxiety. Their movements were sharp yet deliberate, showing a mix of concern and urgency. He watched as the matriarch sidled up close to the tiny creature, her massive body providing a sense of security. Lowering her trunk gently, she nudged the baby with a softness that emphasized her nurturing instincts. The calf responded, whimpering slightly as it pushed against its mother's side. And Mark felt an overwhelming rush of empathy flood through him. This moment was a poignant reminder of the bonds shared in nature and the fierce protective nature of motherhood. Mark's desire to help ignited within him, a need to assist this baby elephant in overcoming whatever obstacle was holding it down. He took a cautious step forward, mindful of not alarming the herd or disrupting their protective circle. Kneeling again, he focused intently on the calf, reassuring himself that many animals in distress often benefited from quiet encouragement alongside gentle guidance. "Okay, little one," Mark whispered softly, his voice steady and calm. "You can do this. Just take your time." The young elephant seemed to respond to his presence, its large ears flapping slowly as it tried again to lift itself. Mark watched with bated breath as the baby elephant steadied itself before wobbling back down onto its knees with a soft thud. A collective rumble from the herd echoed encouragement as they surrounded their young one, reinforcing that support was abundant. In this key moment, Mark understood that patience was essential. He could assist, but it was crucial to allow nature to take its course as well. He knew that rushing into the situation could cause panic among the herd, which would only amplify the calf's distress. Instead, he focused on presenting a calming energy while remaining connected to their shared surroundings. With each failed attempt, Mark noticed how the matriarch continued encouraging her offspring. She would gently lift her trunk closer, urging the calf with soft nudges to rise again. It reinforced for Mark just how significant family bonds were in these moments of vulnerability. Suddenly, Mark realized that this baby elephant had been struggling alone, all while surrounded by loving protectors. Another illustration of how easily nature could both nurture and challenge life's journey. It was not merely about rescuing a creature from physical trouble. It was also about allowing the natural rhythm of resilience to unfold. Inspired by this understanding, Mark decided to mimic some of the calmness exhibited by the matriarch. He resumed his soft whispers and gestures towards the baby elephant, while remaining grounded and peaceful himself. If they were going to help this calf rise as a family, he would be there to support that effort in harmony without imposing fear or disruption. As he observed the powerful interdependence between the matriarch and her calf unfold, clarity blossomed in his heart. Today would not only be about saving a young elephant, but also about recognizing the importance of patience and respect for life's natural cycles within their shared world. As Mark knelt close to the struggling baby elephant, he felt a wave of compassion wash over him. The sight of the calf trying so hard to rise, surrounded by its protective family, stirred something deep within him. He knew he had to help, but he also understood the importance of being cautious and respectful in this delicate situation. The last thing he wanted was to frighten the young elephant or disrupt the herd's protective instinct. Mark took a moment to assess the situation, observing how the matriarch and other elephants surrounded the calf. They displayed their concern through gentle nudges and soft rumbles, encouraging it to try again. Their collective energy spoke volumes about their dedication to one another in times of need. Inspired by their unwavering support, Mark felt even more determined to assist while remaining sensitive to their desires. He decided that a slow and gentle approach would be crucial. Mark shifted his body slightly, making sure his movements were non-threatening. He began speaking softly to the baby elephant, his voice steady and filled with warmth. "You're doing great, little one," he encouraged, allowing his empathy for the calf to guide his words. "Just take your time. You have your family right here." With each attempt the calf made to rise again, Mark offered quiet affirmations. It was important for him not only to provide encouragement, but also to create an atmosphere where the baby could feel safe enough to try without fear. As the young elephant gathered its strength again, Mark continued kneeling nearby, his presence a supportive reminder that help was available if needed. As he breathed in rhythm with the situation unfolding before him, Mark noticed how attentively the matriarch watched him from a short distance. Her gaze seemed both assessing and appreciative, as if she understood that he intended no harm and was genuinely invested in aiding her offspring. This connection enabled Mark to feel a sense of calm wash over him. It felt like they were all working together toward a common goal. The young bull who had first approached Mark earlier now stood nearby, watching intently as well. There was an unspoken understanding among them. This wasn't just about saving one small life. It was about honoring the natural bond between mother and child that existed in every creature. Emboldened by this growing connection with not just the baby elephant, but the entire herd, Mark decided to step closer still while remaining low and non-threatening. With careful movements, he extended his hand towards the calf once more, not forcing contact, but allowing it an opportunity should it choose to reach out. As if sensing that this human meant no danger, the baby elephant cautiously lifted its trunk in response. It extended its small trunk toward Mark's hand with curiosity, a moment that sparked joy in his heart. Here was a chance for connection, They were bridging two worlds through kindness. Mark felt immense gratitude at this exchange, a shared moment between species born from compassion and understanding. The rest of the herd remained fixed on their young one's progress, their energy undulating like waves lapping against a shore. Seeing this brought clarity. Helping this calf rise required patience from all involved, humans and elephants alike, while nurturing bonds grew stronger through cooperation and support rather than fear or aggression. With renewed determination fueling him further, Mark continued offering encouragement as he saw another attempt from the calf. It pushed off its front legs this time with visible effort and steadied itself for a moment longer than before. The collective rumble of approval from the herd echoed around them like music filling an amphitheater, a sound reverberating with love and unity that uplifted everyone present. In this critical juncture of compassion-driven action combined with patience exhibited by both elephants and himself, Mark realized that today was not merely about rescuing an elephant in distress. It symbolized what true connection means when it comes to respecting life's rhythms and nurturing those who cannot always stand on their own, yet deserve unwavering support until they can. With each attempt the baby elephant made to rise, Mark felt a sense of unity growing among the herd and himself. The matriarch continued to offer gentle nudges, her presence solid and reassuring as she guided her calf. Mark realized that they were all working together in a profound demonstration of teamwork. The elephants supporting the young one with their protective instincts, while he contributed his patience and encouragement. As the calf pushed against the ground once more, its legs trembling with effort, it looked back toward its mother, who remained steadfast beside it. Mark saw this exchange as vital. The bond between mother and child was evident as they communicated without words. The urgency in the matriarch's movements reminded him that their objective was clear. They needed to help the baby regain its strength and confidence. Mark instinctively shifted closer, mindful of how his actions could affect the herd's dynamic. He spoke softly, whispering words of reassurance to both the calf and the matriarch. "You're doing so well. Keep going," he encouraged, infusing his voice with warmth to create an uplifting atmosphere for everyone involved. In response to Mark's calming presence, the young bull who had initially approached him stepped forward again, standing close to Mark's side. It seemed as though this young elephant recognized that they were engaged in a shared mission. Mark felt a sense of partnership blossoming. The bull stood vigilant and alert, ready to support its family member as they worked together. As another attempt unfolded, Mark focused intently on the calf's efforts. The baby elephant breathed deeply and braced itself against the ground. In that pivotal moment, he noticed how closely aligned their intentions had become. With every effort from the calf, Mark mirrored its determination by leaning in slightly, an act that felt like a silent promise of support. Suddenly, a powerful rumble emanated from the matriarch. It echoed through the clearing like a vast authority demanding attention. It was her way of reinforcing encouragement for her young one, while also signaling to Mark that they were all in this together. Her presence radiated power, but was balanced with an undeniable gentleness. With renewed energy sparked by their collective resolve, the calf prepared for another attempt. This time, it pushed off its front legs more confidently than before. Mark held his breath as he witnessed this crucial moment unfold. He felt privilege wash over him. He was part of a great natural cycle where vulnerability met strength within their tightly knit family unit. In that heartbeat of time, success surged through the air as the baby elephant finally steadied itself on all four legs. It wobbled precariously, but remained standing, an exhilarating achievement met by rumbles of approval from both Mark and the Uno herd alike. The air buzzed quietly around them, as if nature itself held its breath in acknowledgement of this small yet monumental victory. Mark smiled widely at this collective triumph. His heart swelled. It felt like something beautiful had emerged from their combined efforts, an embodiment of teamwork transcending species barriers. The bond between him and these elephants deepened further as they celebrated together this hard-earned moment. The calf responded by turning to face its mother, who immediately nuzzled it lovingly with her trunk, a gesture filled with pride and relief. In return, Mark offered a soft laugh filled with joy at seeing such nurturing affection unfold. As he observed their interactions, it became increasingly clear. This experience was about more than just helping an elephant in distress. It was about embracing the essence of cooperation that exists within nature itself. By allowing themselves to work together harmoniously, humans and elephants alike, they demonstrated what it truly means to protect one another and thrive in life's complex journey. With gratitude sparkling in his heart for having witnessed such an important moment in nature, Mark realized that he could learn so much from these magnificent creatures about compassion, resilience, and shared responsibility. Lessons he would carry forward into his future encounters with wildlife. As Mark stood there, witnessing the successful efforts of the herd to help the baby elephant regain its footing, he felt a profound sense of reflection wash over him. This experience was unlike anything he had encountered before. It transcended his role as a park worker and revealed fundamental truths about the bond between humans and animals. He understood now that this moment was not solely about rescuing a creature in distress, but rather a celebration of interconnectedness and mutual respect. Mark thought back to his initial apprehensions when surrounded by the elephants, feeling overwhelmed and uncertain. Those feelings had transformed into admiration as he realized how the herd worked together, displaying empathy and nurturing traits that resonated deeply within him. The way they instinctively protected their young and communicated with one another illustrated a nuanced understanding of family that mirrored what he valued in his own life. He began to appreciate that every interaction, whether between species or within a single group, held a deeper meaning rooted in respect for life's complexities. The matriarch guiding her calf with patience served as a vivid reminder of the importance of compassion in all forms. How essential it is to lend support to others when they fall, and how crucial it is for individuals to champion one another through challenges. Mark's heart swelled with gratitude for the herd around him. They had allowed him to play a small part in this remarkable display of teamwork, teaching him that violence and dominance were not necessary for connection. Instead, gentleness would pave the way to understanding. Here was an opportunity to embrace nature's rhythm without imposing his own will or expectations on their world. The vibrant spirit of the elephants sparked thoughts about wildlife conservation, the urgent need for people to cultivate respect and care for all living beings on this planet. Mark felt compelled to share what he had learned from this encounter, to advocate for preserving these creatures' habitats and ensuring their safety in an ever-changing world. He imagined reaching out to schools and local communities, spreading awareness of how vital every species is in maintaining balanced ecosystems. With renewed passion ignited within him, Mark saw himself as a bridge between humans and wildlife. A voice that could emphasize thriving ecosystems come from healthy relationships based on trust and respect. His daily responsibilities might stretch from caring for animals directly to inspiring others in understanding their places within nature. Reflecting further upon the lessons imparted by the elephants, Mark recognized that true harmony could be achieved when both humans and animals embraced compassion. When efforts combined led not merely to coexistence, but also deeper connections reflecting mutual guardianship over shared environments. As he watched the little calf finally venture away from its protective wall of family members. Now equipped with newfound confidence, Mark felt the beauty of vulnerability, married with resilience radiating from that young creature. It evoked hope that there was always room for growth if given the right support. In those quiet moments standing alongside magnificent beings who embodied both strength and gentleness, Mark realized his role extended far beyond simply caring for animals at the park. It was about fostering relationships nurtured by respect while sharing those experiences with others, encouraging them to look closely at their connections with wildlife. With each passing day back at the park, Mark would carry these poignant reflections with him, threads of compassion weaving through every interaction he'd have within nature. This bond shared between him and the elephants would serve as a constant reminder that life offers precious opportunities for learning and shared understanding wrapped up in moments filled with love and care for one another. Embracing this journey ahead would ultimately allow him to honor both his calling as a caretaker and advocate, ensuring that such wondrous connections endure through generations yet to come. As Mark reflected on the powerful experience he had just witnessed, he felt a deep sense of gratitude for the lessons learned throughout this extraordinary encounter with the elephants. What began as a moment of uncertainty transformed into an enlightening journey filled with discoveries about communication and understanding in nature. He realized that moments like these are not merely coincidences, but instead serve as reminders of the interconnectedness that binds all living beings. The elephants had demonstrated that compassion knows no boundaries. Their instinctive drive to protect each other echoed through the clearing, illuminating the inherent wisdom within wild creatures. Watching them work so harmoniously together taught Mark that true teamwork involves patience and mutual support, qualities vital not only among animals, but among humans as well. The way the matriarch guided her calf and how the other members rallied around reinforced his belief in the importance of family bonds, both human and animal, which help sustain life through shared challenges. Mark began to understand more deeply how communication can transcend language. The subtle exchanges between the mother elephant and her baby revealed volumes about trust and reassurance. This realization opened his eyes to the nuances in all forms of communication across different species. It was evident that animals have their own methods of expressing emotions, needs, and support, making it essential for people to listen beyond words in order to truly connect with one another. With newfound inspiration coursing through him, Mark considered his role as a bridge between humans and wildlife. He felt driven to share his experience with others in hopes of fostering respect for wildlife and raising awareness about their plight. By promoting education around conservation efforts, he could illuminate how each individual has an important part to play in protecting natural habitats and preserving cherished species like elephants. In an ever-evolving world where habitats dwindle due to human encroachment, Mark knew it was crucial for everyone to develop a powerful sense of responsibility, not just toward one another, but also toward animals whose lives intertwine closely with ours. These gentle giants embodied resilience and harmony. Their unwavering support for one another mirrored what should be inherent among societies. Reflecting upon those valuable lessons instilled by the herd reinforced Mark's determination to advocate for a future where both wildlife and humanity can coexist peacefully. Everyone could learn from this lesson. Embracing differences while nurturing relationships generates strength, an essential mindset needed now more than ever. As days passed at the park, Mark's heart carried memories of that majestic gathering. The gracefulness shown during vulnerability coupled with unity forged through action, and allowed those impressions to guide his daily interactions. He began noticing little moments everywhere. Whether it was a child learning empathy towards animals or communities working together on local conservation projects, each tiny act added depth to his understanding. He sought opportunities such as educational programs at schools where he could engage younger generations, or workshops that brought people into nature's embrace so they would witness firsthand life unfolding with awe-inspiring beauty. Every interaction became purposeful as they offered pathways toward deeper connection, gaining insights into how we might nurture our planet alongside its inhabitants. Ultimately, this pivotal experience immersed him fully into nature's teachings. It illuminated paths toward greater connection founded upon compassion, while offering hope that understanding could prevail over misunderstanding within our world crowned by diversity. Mark knew now that true harmony is not simply achieved through conservation alone, but thrives when we embrace shared responsibility towards wildlife protection. With gratitude inspiring ongoing efforts aimed at championing empathetic relationships between humans and all living creatures around us. This journey ahead promised enlightening adventures rooted firmly in respect, a commitment he would carry forth, a promise made not just for himself, but for generations yet to come, who will inherit this beautiful earth alive with wonder, waiting patiently for mindful guardianship from all. With the experience of helping the baby elephant still fresh in his mind, Mark knew this encounter would profoundly change his approach to his work at the wildlife park. He had always felt a strong connection to the animals he cared for, but this moment illuminated how crucial it was to engage with them on a deeper level. The lessons learned about communication and compassion would not only shape his perspective, but also influence the way he interacted with both the elephants and other creatures in the park. Mark realized that patience and understanding were vital when working with animals, particularly those in distress. He wanted to ensure that every animal felt supported and respected, just as he had witnessed among the elephants. This meant taking time to observe their behaviors and understanding their needs before intervening. He vowed to become more attuned to the subtle cues they provided, listening carefully to what each animal might be trying to communicate. This experience also inspired him to foster an environment where teamwork flourished, not just among animals, but within his human team as well. He envisioned organizing workshops where staff could learn from one another about animal behavior and care strategies. By sharing knowledge and experiences, they could build a stronger community dedicated to wildlife conservation. Furthermore, Mark recognized the importance of educating visitors about the beauty and complexity of animal relationships in nature. He began brainstorming ideas for interactive educational programs that would engage park guests more deeply, allowing them to witness firsthand how compassion and cooperation manifest in wildlife. He wanted people to leave with insights into not just observation, but genuine connection with nature, a deeper appreciation for the world around them. Mark also reflected on how critical it was for him to advocate for conservation efforts beyond the park's borders. Inspired by the herd's protective instincts, he felt compelled to speak out about habitat preservation and animal rights in local communities. Engaging with schools, community centers, and environmental organizations became a priority for him as he sought ways to raise awareness about issues affecting wildlife habitats. Additionally, he planned on initiating outreach programs aimed at younger generations, teaching children not only about elephants, but also instilling values of empathy towards all living beings. He envisioned creating opportunities for kids to participate in hands-on learning experiences that fostered a sense of stewardship toward animals and their ecosystems. Incorporating these insights into his daily routines was essential. Mark knew he had a responsibility not just as a caretaker, but as an advocate for harmonious coexistence between humans and wildlife. With every interaction moving forward, whether it was with staff or visitors, he intended to reflect on the importance of compassion and respect that he had gained during this extraordinary encounter. As Mark continued his work at the park, he carried forward memories of that day, of teamwork among animals working together effortlessly toward a common goal. Each moment spent surrounded by these magnificent creatures served as a reminder that nature's rhythms were interconnected. They thrived when nurtured through understanding rather than fear or aggression. Ultimately, this transformative experience taught him that embracing shared responsibility toward the wildlife led not only to personal growth as a caretaker, but also inspired collective action within communities striving for balance in nature's delicate tapestry. With gratitude filling his heart, Mark prepared himself for a future enriched by these lessons. A journey equipped with purpose woven deeply into every endeavor aimed at protecting wildlife while celebrating life's beautiful complexities alongside its inhabitants. He understood now that true success lies not only in rescuing individual lives, but in fostering relationships built on mutual respect, a commitment he would uphold throughout his career while ensuring such wondrous connections endure across generations yet unseen.